Parliament has instructed Professor Kenneth Atefo, Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, the NIA, to reimburse over 98,000 cedis withdrawn from the authority's account as a penalty for delayed transfer of SNIT contributions. Now, despite the NIA's decision to cover the SNIT penalties from its account due to tardiness in payment, the Public Accounts Committee has upheld the Auditor General's recommendation to surcharge Professor Kenneth Atefo and the Financial Controller for the penalty.
During its scrutiny of the 2022 Auditor General's report on Wednesday, February 7, the Public Accounts Committee examined representatives from the Ministry of Roads and Highways and its agencies to address issues raised in the report. Mohammed Osman Amin, the accountant of the Department of Urban Roads, and Joy Tete, account staff, were implicated in various infractions, including the misappropriation of over 1.5 million cedis and falsification of signatures on payment vouchers. Roads Minister Kwesi Amoakwata expressed dissatisfaction with the absence of stringent penalties for financial misconduct within the civil service.
The problem that I personally have when it comes to such matters with the civil service, as we go along, you will see that one name is running through all these criminal activities, the Osman person. And initially, he was transferred. And of course, they are the staff of the accountant general. When it happens like that in the civil service, the people are transferred. I only hope that now they are on interdiction, because I do not see why somebody being accused of alleged embezzlement should be transferred from one organization into another. It doesn't make sense one bit in our system. I am only hoping that they are on interdiction.
The National Identification Authority was cited in the report for incurring a 98,000 cedis avoidable penalty due to delayed transfer of SNIT deductions to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. Professor Kenneth Atefo, the Executive Secretary of the authority, offered an explanation.
Payment of the penalty arose from a delay in the release of funds. And this had resulted in the authority's inability to promptly pay SNIT the contributions on behalf of the temporary staff from whom the deductions had been made. The authority was owing the salaries of temporary staff from January to March of 2022. The first quarter funds were only released in fact, on the 19th of April 2022. And the settlement of the salary was promptly made. It was prioritized because the staff were already agitating in the field, not having been paid for 3 months. And therefore, we prioritized the payment of their wages. There were insufficient funds to fully cater for their salaries, for the expenditure of the stated salaries, as well as the SNIT contribution. So we prioritized their payments, and as soon as we received funds, which was the following month in May, we fully retired or paid off our obligations to SNIT, sir.
Despite the explanation provided, the committee upheld the Auditor General's recommendation for the Executive Secretary and Financial Controller to refund the penalty from their personal funds.
You have come to explain why you did not pay the money you withheld to SNIT. The committee will not accept your explanation. So the recommendation of the Auditor General still holds. The Chief Executive and the Financial Controller should go and refund the 98,760 to Auditor General Recovery account at the Bank of Ghana. And this will be done within 1 month.
The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice appeared before the committee to address concerns regarding unauthorized allowances.
But when we moved to single spine, as I said, it was left on our payslips. So we thought that we are still legitimate to enjoy it because we have been enjoying it since the single spine until the auditors flagged it. So when auditors flagged it, we wrote to controller to respond to the audit request first, to stop it until we see further how it will go. So we wrote to controller. I think we have attached the letter to controller and the reminder. But when we realized that controller is not stopping it, that's where we engage Fair Wages. And Fair Wages, it's ready to meet us to see whether it is still legitimate as we claim to pay to our salary.
The committee has referred certain cases to the Auditor General for prosecution. Chairman James Aveji, in a media interview, urged the Clerk of Parliament to collaborate with the Attorney General's office to ensure the enforcement of the committee's directives.
I want to appeal to the Clerk of Parliament that all the report that we have issued, where we have recommended prosecution of certain public officers on procurement breaches, they should communicate those things to the Attorney General so the Attorney General can commence prosecution of those people. If the public see those people being prosecuted as a result of the recommendation of Public Accounts Committee, it will make that venture very expensive.
Now, the issue of some of Ghana's missions abroad overestimating their compensation budget also came up today. Now, the committee observed that some of these missions intentionally overestimated their budgets for salaries and allowances and used the extra money to cater for goods and services. This is because the Finance Ministry did not make adequate provision for the administrative expenses of these missions abroad. The committee therefore urged the Finance Ministry to make provision for the administrative expenses of Ghana's missions abroad. From Parliament House, my name is Charles Osukumi for Citi News.